You're listening to the Sit Rep Podcast, your home for everything related to historical wargaming. When one man picked up a weapon and battled another, we're going to talk about it. We might even play the battle ourselves, or we just might make fun of each other, but we are entertaining. And now, joining us from merry old England is Gaz, our resident painter, and Ralph, our graphic artist. And of course, on the good old American side, we have our historical guru, Big Jim Oriskany from sunny Florida. And here in the Midwest, representing the nation's people, dun, 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 is Marty and G. And now, sit back, get ready, and let's battle.
Hello everybody, this is G, and we are back for season/series 5 of the Sit Rep Podcast. And today, everybody is here for roll call. And we're going to start from the east and come west. I guess it depends on what side of the world you're on. But yeah, I think that's true, right? Yeah, east to west. So over in England, we have Gaz.
Hello, hello, hello.
Are you back to work, Gaz?
Hell yeah. Trying to play catch up with my stupid pilots.
All right. And then joining Gaz over there in England is Ralph. Hey, Ralph, how's it going? Are you still working from home as well?
Yeah, we probably will be the last to go in, and it looks like a vast majority of the way that the positioning for HE especially is blended, so there'll be a lot more online and a lot more online lectures, and then look at how they're going to do social distancing.
Gotcha. All right, and over here in the new world, quote unquote, we have Jim. Jim is in a secluded location, who's kindly joined us from under the radar. Jim, welcome back.
They're looking for me. That's my location.
It's a black site to put you in.
Their drone just flew over my house.
How are you doing, Jim?
Oh, not too bad.
Yeah. You feeling refreshed and re-energized?
Oh, yeah. Well, I never stopped. But, yeah, as always.
All right. And then there is Marty, who is playing with the birds.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the fine morning that we have here in the Chicago suburbs, and glad to be back on the show.
Excellent. And this is G, and I'm here in our somewhat... All right, our studio right now is a shithole. Let me put it bluntly. I am literally surrounded by boxes and everything. I'm doing a complete teardown of everything and redoing everything. And then somebody on their time off got the wild hair up their nose that they needed to go back to nostalgia land and bought a Commodore 64, a Commodore 128, and a Commodore SX64, and has been trying to get the shit to work. Well, I hear Snickers. I when size. What's going on?
So you got like a soldering iron and pixie dust to make that thing run?
My 128, it turned on the first time, it worked, and then when I went into Commodore 64 mode, it worked, and then when I reset it, it didn't work. So I got to figure that one out. And then my SX64 works fine. It needs a keyboard redone because, the keyboard membrane gets tacky, but that's not a big deal. But the cartridge slot doesn't work. The Commodore 64 seems to work, but it doesn't like to talk to modern TVs. So I'm trying to figure that out. So, yeah, that's what...
I was definitely not one of the ones signed or snickering. I was definitely not one of the ones signed or snickering. We were live streaming a PlayStation 1 game earlier this week.
I saw that. And
so as far as retro nostalgia goes, hell yeah, let's go for it.
All right, so Jim, I've got something in my hand that will probably make you a little teary-eyed. It's from a company called SSI.
Yeah, Strategic Simulations Incorporated, started by James Dunnigan, the inventor of Panzerblitz.
There you go. And it is the War Game construction set.
Nice.
Oh God, I remember that.
And inside it came a copy of Combat Leader from SSI as well. So, yeah. And then I had no idea Avalon Hill made games for the Commodore. I have a mint inbox copy of Wooden Ships and Iron Men.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was like, oh.
The best.
And I think SSI did the Renegade Legion conversions for the computer
It was
games.
originally a FASA license, but they did lease out the license for their PC adaptations.
Yeah.
I do have Interceptor on Abandonware on SSI for Renegade Legions, but none of the others. I think Interceptor was the only one I have.
So as soon as I can get these computers working, I will actually be diving into some of that as well. So, and then I got a copy. Do you remember Zork?
Oh my God! Like the original text adventure.
I do. Zork 1, Commodore 64, right here in my hand.
East hit a troll with a stick.
Yep. Oh, I remember the glory days.
For a hobby.
I'm obviously way over my head with the amount of geekery going on right now.
You know, the funny thing is, if you put this game in today's hands, people would be flipping out going, what is this? I actually got to write something? It's not just push a button and move a joystick? The good old days. Anyway, so I'm getting a new...
When Sid Rep is supposed to be historical wargaming, it's supposed to, the battles are supposed to be in history, not the war games.
Not the technical.
Right? All right, fine. So that's what I've been working on. And a nice thing. So, guys, the purpose of the first episode of Season 5 is to discuss where do we go from where we've been? What do we change? What do we improve? What ideas are out there? And for all you listening, please comment. Give us ideas. You know, we want to shake it up and do some, really good things and exciting things. For those of you who aren't aware, I stepped away from OTT, so I no longer have that commitment. So this is my primary and sole responsibility is to this. So thankfully, work is starting to calm down. The coronavirus seems to be on the downslide, so I'm not being pulled into work as much as I was, so that's nice. So, all right, let's kick off with some catch-up.
Can I bring it back? Well,
yeah, please.
We'll go into the news, but let's bring it back to retro after we've done the catch-up because there's some news announced.
All right, well.
It's sort of retro.
Okay, so don't forget. So in case we start going on one of our typical tangents about things. So first of all, let's catch up on our long-standing project, 13 Days, 13 Hours. We've got most of the miniatures painted at this point. I think all the bad guys are pointed. I think I have like 2 or 3 I found that I can add to the pool. So what we need to start working on is refinement of getting the miniatures ready and doing like ID cards, like stat cards for them. Ralph, I thought you had a template at some point. I
sent you one.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to start putting those in and identifying each mini with their stats. So we're going to have to come up with their stats. And we did decide, everybody, to use Skirmish. Yes? Is that what we're going with? Skirmish?
It was Skirmish.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I can do is I'll send you through the stat card again because it's in a PSD file.
Okay.
If you open up Photoshop, it'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you through the Excel sheet so you can just put in, because the way Sangan Worlds, as you know, is you roll a D10 for the body type.
Yep.
And then you can then it's just a collection of load of drop downs that are in the rule book.
Cool.
Like Grenadier, things like that, and then it'll just create the numbers for you, and you just put them into the PSD file.
Perfect. So Gaz, since you were playing the baddies,
Yep.
do you have a copy of Skirmish? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe on an episode of like Thursday night or whenever it's convenient for you, depending on your work schedule, obviously, maybe you could start creating like the leaders, picking out your leaders and creating the character, the stats for them.
Yeah, I understand which of my models I'd like to be the leaders already. It's
Okay.
What people I put more paint into.
Okay.
Which is quite cool. I was thinking of doing some photos of nearer the top half of the minis.
Uh-huh.
You can put them into the cards.
Okay.
So you can visually see them.
Nice.
There's room on the cards for an image as well.
Good.
Yeah, so...
it's the same template I used for my Spectre special ops and stuff like that.
Are we thinking full body then, or is it...
You could do full body, and you just do... The block is the square on the card is a specific size, as you can imagine. Yeah, because what I tried to do was, even though these are huge images, when you scale them down to, say, go on an A5 or smaller, it keeps, the quality so you can see what it is.
Yeah.
So you can do full body, you can just take like the top half and just drop the image into the, into the PSD file. Or if you take the photographs and write the stats, send it through, and I can always put them into the PSD file and then send the PSD file onto G or whatever to print off.
Yeah, because I'm assuming you don't have Photoshop, do you guys?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
So the easiest way to do it, I think, for the stream would be for guys to possibly use the Excel sheet that I'll send through.
Yep.
Because you can fill that in and then just save a version of it off and send it, and then with the images.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
So, Jim, does this affect anything as far as the transit game? If we have stats for different leaders and things?
No, not really, because the transit game is not going to be the same opponent forces or the same opponent personalities as the compound game. The forces going to be involved in the transit game are going to be in the streets of Benghazi between the two compounds.
Okay.
And I don't think they're going to be any of the same people. Even if they are, the transit game is handling them in a much more generic kind of a fashion.
Perfect.
There's like leaders, there's like hardened militia, and then there's like, ambivalent militia and friendly militia and so on and so forth. But because we wanted the transit game to be very flexible and very fluid, as in people are literally changing sides in the middle of the battle, that's going to make game bounce very fun. Because you got militias who are, they're first ambivalent, then they become friendly as you convince the Feb 17 guys to actually join you.
Uh-huh.
And then you've got, ambivalent militias who someone shoots at them and now they're hostile. And then you got hostile militia who loot enough and now they leave, they become ambivalent. Because of all that, the actual personalities and leadership abilities of the individual militia commanders, all that stuff has to be handled in a very generic fashion. So as far as how specific it's going to get, I'm following your lead as far as the compound game.
Okay.
The transit game is going to be a lot more rounded off as far as that goes.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. So guys, so we were discussing off I was going to say off camera, but off recording, that I think the plan is going to be to allow us to fine tune everything and get scenery to where we want it and everything ready, is that we're going to play the game on the anniversary of the Benghazi. So September 12th. Was it 2012 or 2011, Jim? I always get the year wrong.
I thought it was 2012.
2012. Okay. 12.
Yeah.
So we'll do it on September 12th of this year. Do we want to do the transit game before that date? So it gives us time to adjust as far as who lives, who dies, yada, yada, yada. And then it still keeps people into the gist of the game. Do you guys think that it would be ideal to do the transit before September?
Maybe not before September, but maybe 1 week before.
Okay.
September 5th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way,
because that would end up being a marathon game if we did both at the same time.
Right. Yeah. No, I get you.
Yeah. Don't do both at the same time, but don't have too much time because then people lose interest.
Sure.
Or they forget about it. Yeah. So wait like 1 week.
Yeah, you could do the transit games here during one of the streams on a Sunday.
Uh-huh.
And then the following week is the actual physical minis shooting each other in the face.
Excellent.
Yes.
So here's the plan. I'm looking at the calendar. So September 5th is a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And then September 12th is a Saturday. So the 5th will be the transit game, if everybody's good with that. That's Memorial Week or Labor Day weekend. Anybody have huge plans for Labor Day weekend? I know. Well,
Labor Day.
well, see, here in the United States, we had an oppressive government, and we riled up and said, enough is enough. You can't abuse us. Blah 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 blah. So now we have a holiday.
Had was that?
Wait a minute. I believe that holiday is on the 4th of July. The Labor Day is actually where we rose up against our own government and said we're tired of your oppressive work practices and putting our children to work.
Right.
And we're going to give ourselves a day off.
You guys have holidays for everything. It's like medals on your military personnel.
It sounds like Gaz is jealous on a couple of levels.
Dang.
Did that one.
Wow. Do you hear that, Marty?
I said Gaz is just jealous
He
on a
is.
couple levels.
I'll have you know, Gaz, I got a medal from the governor of the state of Indiana because I wired our company area on the flight line with so much booby traps that a raccoon set one off and got on fire. I had that place wired so tight nobody could get through when we were preparing for JRTC. So, on you, buddy.
Ooh, the governor of Indiana.
I know, right?
Snowed upon you the raccoon defense ribbon.
Exactly. And I got a coonskin cap to go with it. Woo!
There you go.
All right. Back to where we were. See, tangents. We're famous for tangents. So let's do that. September 5th will be the transit game, and September 12th will be the miniatures game. Everybody good with that? Okay.
So, yeah.
Excellent. I'm just trying to plug in my headphones because I think my headphones are about to die because the battery seems to be dying. I haven't used it in a while. Other than that, so Marty and I met last weekend and we looked at what we're doing for the walls. So we decided we're going with what? Cork, right?
Yeah, 60 millimeter high cork walls.
So I think that'll be about the right height. Does anybody know what the true height of those walls were?
I don't know what
There is a standard template, but it kind of hit and miss because it wasn't exactly a diplomat compound. It was an overseas. So not really sure is the answer. But to be honest, you want to, in that type of game, you don't want the walls to be too high anyway because you're going to be reaching over them to move models in the compound. So they're there as an indicator. So that's perfect, really, because if it was any higher, you're going to be potentially catching the wall when you lean in, lean out, knocking stuff over. So it's like what you have in some games when you're in quite a large township. Sometimes you just build up the walls there a little bit so you're not knocking around buildings and such. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, they're high enough that it'll define the space and provide a good border for the table. And they're still high enough to provide cover, and you won't be able to, easily maneuver over them, but they're low enough that we'll still be able to reach into the table, and I think they'll be scaled fairly correctly. So.
Good. Sounds like a plan. So we'll.
What thickness cork were you looking to use?
I have 5 millimeter cork. I think it's 5. It might be 4.
It should be 5. I'm just because when I was looking at building terrain and stuff, I was looking at foam board instead of cork for some of the stuff because it's a little bit more rigid because the cork I found here wasn't as sturdy as I had planned. So it was the foam board that you can get from like dollar store and stuff and just peel the paper off, and that normally works, and that's a case about 5 millimeters.
Yeah. So we had looked at doing that, and I had mocked up some sections of wall that were made out of foam board and then covered with a thin layer of filler, and we decided that we liked the look of the cork better, and it'll be good and solid once it's all painted up. Yeah. And the sections aren't going to be terribly long, so they won't get all wavy. Yeah. They're probably going to be about a foot long a piece. So.
I mean, if you grit and filler the exterior, which is also something you can get from any hardware store. It'll take paint better. 2, it'll give it some weight so they don't fall over as easy. And 3, gives texture, which is kind of what that sort of concrete wall would have been out there.
Yeah, because most of the concrete walls almost look like they've been stuccoed, if in fact they haven't been, because most of that stuff out there's like it's a concrete block wall that's been covered in something for the nice places.
I've seen some really good where a guy just literally ran a brush down, because you get the concrete that almost has the vertical lines when it's laid. He just ran a brush vertically down before it dried, so it had all those little striations running vertically up the walls, which was quite cool. And then he just run a pen or a pencil every so often to give a break, as if they'd got a concrete slab, and then hook those two together as well, which was quite cool.
I saw a really good one from Sarissa put out a load of guides. One of the guides they put out, because it's free, it was a PDF, you could download the sheets, and what it was some sheets of basically where the wall is cracked, so it looks like the plaster's come away, like the stucco's come away, and you can just cut these pieces of paper out, and that's what they did, and then just put them on, and then using like a blending technique with some wash the paper into the side of the Sarissa building that's been painted, and it looks like it's all part of the model. It's really nice. Good. I'll find the PDF. I downloaded it from Sarissa, and I'll send it through. They did it on the French, it's not an Arabian fort, but it's sort of that French Foreign Legion style, so it's like a French fort during that sort of period of time, and it looks really good.
Have you worked out how much length you need to make?
About 24 linear feet.
So let's go with whatever's easiest. Regardless of whichever method.
Hence the cork, yeah. I mean, the cork looks really good once you do the primer, and it's not spackle. What are you using?
So on the cork, all I use is an emulsion paint.
Okay.
And there's the one that I showed you had 3 coats in total. So it starts off light, and it's got more PVC or PVA glue in it than paint. Because I want it to soak in there and give some rigidity to the cork, and then as I do additional layers, I add more paint towards my final color, and then kind of throw a wash and some weathering on it.
It looks good.
Got in there.
Yep.
You can also just paint it on a bit on one layer, and then leave a gap so it goes to the cork, and it will give you that idea of some of the stucco or some of the outside walling falling off.
Yep.
So you can get sort of that sort of texture and stuff underneath, and then paint that a slightly different color, like a pinky white. Like the other thing, and it'll sort of give you that effect as well if need be.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right. So it sounds like the plan is September 5 will be the transit game. I am extremely looking forward to that. And then on September 12th, the anniversary, we will do the miniatures game. And in the meantime, we are going to start getting together our supplies, and we'll start filming construction of the compound. You good with that, Marty?
Sounds like a plan.
Excellent. Hey.
I'm super excited to be able to get together and actually do some of this stuff again.
Right.
The whole Rona thing has derailed our progress here.
Hey, but let's be truthful. Last weekend we celebrated Corona with Coronas, so
it is true. We did do that.
All right.
So the year is 2012. The attack actually started on the 11th, September the 11th, and then extended into the early morning hours of the 12th.
Okay.
Just before anyone wiki snipes us or whatever. But I mean, I don't suggest that we start on the 11th and the 4th, because then now we're doing it on a Friday.
Right.
So let's do it either 5 to 12 or even 6 to 13. Either sometime that weekend.
Yep.
So that we can get good audience, good participation.
Yep. So we're gonna start hyping it up now, and we're gonna promote it weekly all the way up to it. Ralph, I really need some good, outstanding graphics or something to promote the 5th and the 12th, bud.
I'll have a look, see what I can find.
I'd appreciate it. All right, so that takes us up to our current projects. So what do we do to improve this podcast going forward? Does anybody have suggestions or ideas? Don't all speak at once.
It's not perfect as it is.
There's always room for improvement. The day you stop learning and the day you stop improving is the day you did.
Are we talking about the podcast or the channel in general?
Yes.
Okay. The podcast the channel in general needs a lot more than just Aristides Tired, Panzer Leader, Panzer General,
yes,
and Valor and Victory.
I agree.
We need. I know it's really hard to do miniature gaming online and to actually show webcam, live battle reports. But before we ask the community what they want us to do, we gotta have to address what they've already asked us to do 10 times.
Yes, I agree.
And I know that's super hard. I'm not even gonna
Yeah, for anybody who's never filmed a video regarding a miniature game, it is not just set a camera down and go for it. It is hard. Speaking from experience, it takes a lot of time and effort, but we don't have to make it super fancy. I mean, there are ways we can do it. I mean, we have the equipment here in the studio, obviously, so I agree with you, Jim. It's something that everybody's been screaming for, and I was looking at the demo board I got from Adepticon last year, and I thought maybe as just a test run, teaser, whatever, if you will, we could film a quick. I was thinking, what if we did a quick thing of Spectre, introduction to Spectre versus an introduction to Contact Front versus an introduction to Skirmish or Ultra Combat Modern, and give people kind of compare using the same board, and then using essentially the same minis if possible, and just using the different rule sets
forces.
And doing a comparison and say, okay, this is how this plays, this is how this plays, this is how this plays. So
yeah, that would be. I mean, how big was the board again? Was it 2x2?
It's a 2x2. It's a 2x2.
It's a 2x2. Then I would say you would probably looking at. I would say because of the size of it, you're looking probably at a small, probably 4x4.
Yeah.
I think would be the best way of doing it, and you could easily do that with all 3 games. I think you could probably do it better with Sangan because I've not received my Ultra Combat yet.
You got a PDF though, didn't you?
I think we got the PDF.
Yeah, we got the PDF. Yeah, that's the final one.
Right.
If you're a backer, you got the final PDF.
Yeah, it's days. What are days? Days merge.
Yeah, I know. It's all. Every day's a Monday these days.
It feels like it. It might be worth us possibly doing it as a Sangan because that's the game system we're using for 13 days, 13 hours.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably start with Skirmish and then go, and just give everybody a little overview. And this is how this plays. This is how this plays. Because it would be simple. The board's done. We have plenty of minis already done. And it's literally, let's just get this rule set out, and we just play through a quick intro, of each one. And that would fill some miniatures, time on the podcast, the channel. Jim has definitely picked up the weight on Sundays with his, whatever he's broadcasting that day. And I definitely want to start getting some stuff, now that things have calmed down a little bit. And Gaz definitely has gotten the painting niche under his belt, our Bob Ross. So I think we've got potential for a lot of good quality content. So, it's just a matter of getting that, but the other thing is about this podcast, we're all doing this because we love the genre and the hobby. I don't want it to become a task where people dread, oh God, I got to do it this, I got to do this. I got to do it this weekend. So I don't want it to become that because you start doing that, then it's no fun. The audience picks up on it and, so stuff like that. So.
I'm still waiting on a collapsible table for my front room.
Uh-huh.
It's one of these that comes in however many, I think it's 6 segments, so you can fold out up to a 2x2, a 4x4, and a 6x4.
Oh, wow.
You just fold the legs out to basically put it to different sizes. But Mark has talked me into some Blood Red Skies.
Really?
So I might look at getting a camera set up above the table once we get it on the small 4x4. Chuck on a sky down mat, some clouds, and maybe some Blood Red Skies videos. I know it's World War II, but it's kind of a part of World War II we've not really touched on too much.
No, that'd be good.
Yeah, because there's the Blood Red Skies, and it's not Cruel Sea, it's the other one, isn't it, that does the bigger ships?
Yeah.
The one that they announced.
War at Sea, I think it's the larger ships.
The one that I purchased all the starter sets for, I'm waiting on, yeah.
As far as the whole moratorium on World War II goes, number one, that was only a personal thing for me. I'm not expecting the rest of the team to go by that. And number two, I was just asking that we stay away from the classic, like, Northwest Europe land battles. You know?
Yeah.
The U.S. paratroopers versus German, infantry, bolt action, here we go again. Kind of thing. Because, I mean, not that it's not interesting, but everyone does it.
Right.
There's plenty of it out there already.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's plenty of Stalingrad as well at the moment. That seems to be the big thing that everybody's jumped 2 feet into.
Well,
Stalingrad.
All right, let's be clear. None of us are saying don't do this.
Yeah.
We just don't want it to become the World War II channel. Mm-hmm. Because that's the low-hanging fruit, right? The low-hanging fruit is World War II. So, because there's so much on it, there's so much content, there's so much product, it's a very easy thing to get into. Okay? And to Jim's point, there's so much more to World War II than Western Europe, right? There's Burma. I would love to see some content on Burma.
The Train Tutor did an awesome Burma board, too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you had the whole South Pacific battles. I personally, if I was Jim and a true Marine,
here we go.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I think I know what she's going to say, and I think I already agree.
That I would explore the campaigns of the U.S. Marines in the South Pacific.
Yeah, so here's what happened. Obviously, we started doing Op Center back in the day.
Yep.
We did 4 episodes and 4 episodes and 4 episodes.
Yep.
Arab-Israeli Wars, Falklands, and Vietnam.
Yeah.
Then we did a special one just because it was the 75th of Iwo Jima. And I wasn't supposed to be part of a series. I just kind of threw it out there.
Yeah.
And now Op Center is this weird 13-piece playlist. And all right, you had 3 good series, and you had this one cockeyed outlier by itself out there. So sometime in 2020, I was thinking about getting back into it, at least doing 3 more Pacific-themed Op Centers, so that we could bolt them together with that Iwo Jima one that we did on 19 February.
Oh, nice.
And just have a 4-part completed sort of a series on that subject.
Nice. Because honestly, and I'm going to be truthful about it, of all the content or areas of conflict in World War II, South Pacific is the one I know the least about. And it seems the most interesting because to me, and I think everybody would agree, the conflict, the way it was fought, is completely different than how things were done in Europe and Asia. So, right? Asia, I'm talking about Soviet Union or Russia at the time. So, you had different equipment. The fighting styles are obviously different. The challenges of terrain and everything was obviously different, with all the amphibious assaults and, so... even from the air power standpoint, it was completely different. So,
and it was they were true combined arms battles, using all the branches of the service.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. Much more than you had in Europe.
A lot of that's going to be more Central Pacific, which is what I was going to stick to.
Okay.
Because technically the Pacific is divided into 2, Central and South.
Okay.
But with the 3 parts left over, I was going to do maybe also stuff I have and, photos I already have and miniatures I already have and things like that. We've done Iwo Jima, so late war Central Pacific is done. Something about how carrier air power works, like the naval battles in the Pacific. Guadalcanal, that goes back down to the south part of the Pacific you were talking about. And then that's 3. I'm not sure what the 4th one would be yet, but
you know, it would be interesting with the Battle of the Coral Sea.
Yeah, I was like carrier battles in general.
Yeah.
Because if we just did carrier battles, like we started getting into individual battles, you have Coral Sea, Midway, Santa Cruz, Philippine Sea, Leyte Gulf. You know, it just goes on and on and on. You have like 50 parts before you know it.
You know, something just popped in my head. How about a hypothetical? I know. What about a hypothetical? Say Pearl Harbor didn't happen. Would how you know?
Or say that we understood the warning and responded.
Or the carriers got hit. You know, how would that have all changed? You know, the way. So those are all, you know, ideas to think about. What if?
Yeah.
We didn't lose the battleships, or what if we had a big battle outside of Pearl Harbor because we intercepted the Japanese fleet, or what happens if the Japanese actually caught our carriers? You know, just some different what ifs.
The answer to all those questions is everything gets pushed back exactly 1 year.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. The Essex class carriers were already under construction. The first one was launched at the end of 1942.
Okay.
Commissioned to like February of 43. So it just would have taken a little longer to come back.
Gotcha. Well, that's no fun. I thought there's going to be this big, you know, story.
Now, it gets more interesting later on when it's like, okay, in July and August of 45, when the bomb is developed, we're not at Japan's doorstep yet. We're still back at, you know, the Philippines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do we think about, you know, dropping a bomb on the Philippines or Okinawa or Iwo Jima or anything like that?
Huh.
You know, because by now we have those weapons in our arsenal, but we're still back like where we were historically at the end of 44.
Gotcha.
Or middle of 44.
And then the question is, when Yamamoto died, when we shot him down, was he still as influential as he was? I mean, if he had survived, would that have changed any outcome of the war, do you think? Or just delayed it, or...
Yeah, I mean, he's a planner. He's an executioner, you know, of you know, the battle plans or whatever. He was very politically influential in the government of Japan at the time.
Yeah.
When he goes down, it doesn't really affect Japan's resources, which are the real problem. Also, Yamamoto never really did anything against the American submarines. Yeah. Which was probably one of the more decisive arms of the service. Not to completely derail the subject, but okay, if Yamamoto survives the summer of 43, which he didn't historically, all that really is going to do is that's going to maintain more Japanese Navy influence over their government, because the Japanese government is, there is no like one dictator. We all talk about Toho. We all talk about the emperor had like nothing to do with anything. It was really like a council divided between two branches, the Army and the Navy. There was no Air Force. There was an Army Air Force and a Navy Air Force. The Japanese government was run by the military, and it was always this tug of war between the Army and the Navy. As long as Yamamoto was there, the Navy was, if not dominant, at least, you know, on par with the Army. Mm-hmm. The second Yamamoto gets knocked out of the box, now the Army starts taking more control. You start leading to much more bad battles for the Japanese. Philippine Sea, the retaking of Guam, Saipan, Tinian, all that stuff like that. Maybe that gets pushed back a little bit. I mean, who knows?
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, there's a lot of food for thought. So, you know, definitely area of exploration. Like I said, I agree with Jim. We need to stay away from Western Europe and do some of these, you know, lesser known areas. You know, when you said submarines, it brought me back. You know, we were talking off recording. I recently started going back to my love of Commodore computers, and I am going to get an Amiga, by the way. Do you remember the game Silent Service?
Yeah, I used to play that.
So I saw a copy of it. I think I'm going to get it, but I'm not having very much luck with discs, you know, from 40 years ago, 35 years ago. You know, they degrade so quickly, so I might I got an SD conversion thing to go with my Commodore, so I might, just download the files and, try it. But I played that game for hours. That's another good area, submarine warfare during World War II.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, what was the one I saw? I was an Atari owner.
Yeah.
And I used to play Gunship.
Remember Gunship? Yep.
Well, there's most gamers know there's what's called GOG, which is I think owned or has part ownership through CD Projekt Red, who are the company behind the Witcher games and stuff like that. Yeah, they do a site called GOG, which is called Good Old Gaming. Mm-hmm. And on the PC, you can get old games. So they've got a load of Microprose stuff, so you can find Gunship.
Nice.
And I think it's got the M1A1 game as well. That Microprose did a load of Microprose stuff. It has the Commando games by Eidos, which are the tactical, stealthy games, which are really fun to play. But I used to play like F117 and Gunship constantly.
Yeah.
Just hours of just plugging into a not very good flight simulator, but still at the time period, yes.
It was great.
It was great. The other one that, what was the submarine one? Oh, not Harpoon. It was Red Storm Rising.
Yep.
The other was the submarine one that they did, which was based on Tom Clancy's
Red October.
Book, Red October. Well, it was based on the book, and the other one I had was Harpoon.
Yep. Remember those?
Which was a bug had to play.
Yep.
So there's a lot of gaming out there. There is a game on the PC now, which is I think it's a replica of the board game. The U-boat board game.
Yes. I was thinking that when Jim mentioned the submarine stuff, I was like, there's a really good modern game that came out. Was it last year, year before now? Time flies. Called U-boat. Yeah. And I thought, why not get a group together and we can video or do a live stream of us playing U-boat. I think that would be really cool. So I'm going to get my hands on a copy of U-Boat because I don't have it. I backed it in Kickstarter, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm probably never going to play this game, so I kind of backed out of it. Now I wish I had.
There's a version of it on the PC on Steam.
Is there? You know what? I want to play the board game version.
Yeah, the board game things, but I'm just saying.
Because I want the submarine with all the resin pieces and, all that good stuff. Gaz, that might be something for us to do when you come over. When are you coming over? Next winter?
It's all dependent on what happens, really.
Yeah, now that the world has changed.
Next Christmas, if they don't extend me.
Yeah. So.
Because they're screaming out at the minute, so I'm going to stick in for an extension and see what they offer.
Awesome. Good for you. Yeah, I remember the conversation we had. What was it? Last year you were getting out, and then all of a sudden you extended, and now you're looking to extend again. Yeah, you're a lifer, my friend. You're a lifer.
23 years in, which is a year more than my basic service.
There you go. Good for you.
Yeah.
Nice job, bud. Nice job.
But that increases your benefits as well, though, guys, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does help when you get out. I'm still on the old schemes where you still get a lot of sort of initial payments out when you leave.
Good.
The newer ones, obviously, the new guys coming on. It's just a pension when they retire if they live long enough.
All right. So that's awesome. So we're looking at possibly the Pacific, South Pacific, Central Pacific, whatever Jim decides to do, like island hopping or however he wants to do it. I know I have the Alamo set coming from Sarissa, that big Kickstarter that they had.
I've had an idea kicking around my brain of sorts for a while.
Go ahead.
Which was a stealth sort of detection game where either one person or group of people are ninja, set in feudal Japan.
Yeah.
Was trying to do the stealth mechanics and either a board game or something digitally that you can play where it's a bit like as guys and you remember, it's a bit like the way Tenchu used to work on the old PlayStation games and stuff, where you are ninja, but the idea would be is either a group of them or you have that are trying to infiltrate to assassinate a local governor or whatever. So the maps could be completely random.
Yeah.
Because I've got a couple of Patreons are back for D&D maps and D&D assets and stuff for creating maps. One of them has just created a load of feudal Japan.
Oh, nice.
Assets. So it's like the tea house and stuff like that. So, from a digital point of view, it's probably easily done. It's just coming up with some mechanics.
Yeah.
Finding something, working with someone, so it might be with something I take off, we'll take off, and I'll either speak to yourself or Jim or Gaz, and we'll try and work something out, and that might be worth something to, almost like a game design series of sorts.
Cool.
I think it'd be good to do to pair it up with a physical and a digital to prove that you can pair them, as in do the same game in both mediums.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got some ideas of how to do the Fog of War, because it's something I've already been looking at as well.
Yeah.
I've just got my latest Dragon Empire set of files for Dragon Empire. Titan Forge's Dragon Empire from the patron, and that's introduced some new elements that are historical. You've got the single shot original sort of muskets and things like that, and there is ninja. So minature wise, there are 3 or 4 ninjas, and then between the Ashigari, the bowman, the spearman, the warriors, the samurai lord, the geishas, I could pretty much field the board. And in this latest one, they also did buildings, as well as in a previous one, they did all the walls and some scatter terrain. So I can pretty much print the board as well.
Nice.
I would suggest we maybe do it hex, so that Jim can tie in with a hex-based game, and I think that's the only way we could do Fog of War with miniatures as well. Maybe some sort of AI for the character, for the enemy. So they have set patrol patterns on a card, and then once they spot you, then they break the patrol pattern. But unless you move as a ninja to certain positions, you can't see what their patrol pattern is. So you can see the guy stood there, but you don't know which way he's going to turn and walk. So you have to waste time to watch him, or you go in and kill him. But you're on a timer to finish, say, the game. So it forces you to take risks.
Nice.
I think that would be really good, and I think that's that's a different element of gaming that we haven't looked at from a point of view of feudal Japan and things like that, because that might be an interesting element to look at from the shogun, the creation of the shogunate, the wars that happened in Japan, right the way through to the end of the era of the samurai sort of thing.
It's well supported now for products. There's quite a lot of miniatures out there. There's Test of Honor. There's lots of scenery. So I think it's something that people could replicate at home themselves.
Yeah, because there's a company, and I can't remember who it is, did a tea house as an STL file, but they had the like the lanterns, like the columns where a lantern would be in the middle, and they'd left enough room to put your own LEDs into it.
Nice.
So you could light it yourself. So you could print it ready with the hollow ready to put an LED light in and stuff.
Interesting. All right, so that's Ralph's thing. He wants to do ninjas.
Of course. Why not?
Why not? Marty, do you have any particular area of interest you would like to maybe possibly do something with?
So there's kind of 2.
Okay.
So I'm interested in looking at doing some Western stuff, like Joe Veltry's Gunslinger's Paradise is coming out. I've got that on my radar as well. I'm thinking that would be a pretty cool one to get into. The other one that I was looking at was Pirates, like Blood and Plunder or something like that.
Oh, I'd be interested in that as well. That's what I've been looking at.
The amount of stuff that is available for that, and the quality is amazing.
Those guys are awesome. I know them, and we actually. Guess, were you with us when we had drinks with them at Gen Con 2 years ago?
Yes.
When they came
not
over?
that one, no, but I was there when we visited them on the stand, and they came back after for a bit.
Yeah, so
I think that the pirate genre there in general lends itself to just so many different options.
Oh yeah.
There's so many scenarios. I mean, you can use the scenarios that are already published. You can easily create your own scenarios. So there's just a lot of flexibility and a lot of ways you could go with that. I think that would be cool. And that would thrill my wife to no end to see another 4 walls of terrain and stuff to show up in our loft.
Well, you're probably going to be able to scratch G's Commodore 64-ish because Microprose and Sid Meier's Pirates.
Pirates, yeah, forgot about that. Yeah,
which would then lead itself to a almost like a strategy game of sorts.
Yeah,
because what you could do is you could have a hex map or a map of the Spanish Main, and the players are the ships moving around from port to port, getting intelligence on, say, where the Spanish treasure fleets are, or you could have an event card that says Britain and Spain are now at war, and if you go to either one of those countries' ports, divided, say you went to Port Royal, which was under the British, you can get a letter mark, which means you could then go and attack the Spanish ships without any repercussions, because from point of view of the fact, repercussions from Britain, because you're under a letter mark to attack the ships that are at war.
Yeah.
So you could combine it and create it's almost like a board game in some respects, or something with that, and then you could link it into if you want to run the proper big pirate, the battles physically with miniatures, you can do that.
So there's an actual miniatures / it's a hybrid game. You can do it either with hexes or in miniatures called Letters of Marque. It was published 2005. It's a little like dining room table publishing kind of a thing. You had to make your own pieces or whatever, but I'll see if I can find the files. I've got it somewhere. It's not a huge professional SSI kind of a game or whatever, but there's a game called Letters of Marque where it's it's not about what Ralph's talking about, an operation here's the Caribbean or whatever. It's you start on this end, I start on this end. I have 2 ships, you have 3 smaller ships. The wind's blowing this way. Our guns have X range. Let's let's do it. And it's the Age of Piracy. Maybe not exactly pirates because there's a lot more combat. Pirates, there wasn't a lot of combat, but ships of that era, late 17th century, early 18th century. 1675, 1725. Age of Piracy kind of thing.
Well, didn't MB do when they did Shogun and Axis and Allies? Wasn't there broadsides and boarding parties by MB? And you got 2 huge, great big plastic ships you put either side of the board.
I actually don't really remember, but yeah, sounds familiar.
I think it was called Broadsides and Boarding Parties, because it was about the same time as Shogun and Axis and Allies. Now, I still have Shogun and Axis and Allies, and I've got Fortress America as well, which MB did.
Oh, you got all the classic ones, huh?
Yeah.
Those are the 3 I remember. I don't remember the pirate one.
Yeah, I don't remember a pirate one. All right, so let me go on my list. I have the Central South Pacific. We have ninjas. We have pirates. What was that Western game called, Marty?
Gunslinger's Paradise. It's by Joe Veltri and God's Eye Games.
Slingers. Is it an RPG or is it a miniatures game?
It's a miniatures game. It is not yet published. It is due to come out later this summer.
Those are the same guys who do Contact Front, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, along the lines of a good miniatures-based Western is our friend Forrest. His game. It's not Desperado. That's the old version. Gunfighter's Ball. That's another good one. So, and his miniatures are amazing. He produces stuff all the time for that. So.
Yep. Knuckle Duster makes some.
Well, that's who it is, Knuckle Duster.
Yeah.
Forrest. And so.
Yeah. And those dudes are an hour and a half from us. Who knew?
I've just posted an image.
Sure, out the west and the miniatures available and talk through some of the ranges.
Yeah.
I've just posted an image to our.
I don't remember that game at all.
That was the one. Yeah, it's called Broadsides and Boarding Parties, and that's what you got inside of it. So you got those 2 ships with all of those figures.
Huh? No, I don't remember that one at all. Interesting. That almost looks like Simon did a game. I have it. I don't remember what it is. Where you're basically, 2 ships and you're trying to go back and forth. But
and there's the board there with the ships and stuff. So it does.
Rum and Bones.
I remember seeing it.
Rum and Bones. That's it. Rum and Bones.
I remember seeing this, and I wish I'd picked it up. I really do, because it's
that one I have no idea. I've never seen that one. There's another good modern board game out called British versus Pirates. It's by a guy here in the U.S., and it's a really good game because you have to take into account wind and captain ratings and all that stuff. It's a board game, but it's really fun. It does come with little miniatures, but it's a really good game. So what I'm thinking of doing is we could do a poll and have the audience vote on what we should do next. Jim, do you want to just keep the Pacific one as like an op center and not as a gaming campaign thing project?
Oh, that was my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to do 3 more op centers.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take that off the poll list then.
Yeah, just to round off that series.
Okay. Gaz, did you have anything you want to add and see, like a project that's near and dear to your heart that we could have people like vote and see which one they'd like to see next?
I'd like to put it out to the community for what miniatures to paint.
Oh, okay.
So literally anything historical.
All right.
You get people or patrons post ideas.
I know what I need you to paint up next. I need you to paint.
Here we go.
I'd like to sort of just paint a single mini from different aspects of forces, but not necessarily say if I was going to do red coats, I wouldn't be looking to do a full squad of them, but paint one and see how I get on. If I'm not happy, maybe paint another one.
Gotcha.
But then they're cavalry as well, and maybe an artillery piece.
All right, I need you to paint Sergeant Sitrep.
Do a series of
He's not listening to me.
Historical painting, really.
Okay. Well,
no, he wasn't listening.
No, he's not listening to me. I need you to paint Sergeant Sitrep.
Yes, I know.
Speaking of which, all our Patreons should have gotten their special edition mug. I got a message from a couple of people saying they've gotten them. So, did you guys see the mug? Huh? Did you see it?
I've heard that some members have gotten it, but I haven't seen one myself.
Oh,
one of them posted a picture of it.
Yeah?
In their message. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Are you on Skype right now, Jim, where you can get a picture?
Yeah, I'm on Skype.
Well, I didn't know if you're I know you're on an alternate device because you're in hiding. So.
Yeah, I'm just on the phone. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you a picture later of it, but it is a beautiful mug, and it has the famous "long story short" quote on it.
Oh no!
It is a Stein. It is beautiful.
You couldn't really see it on the shot glass.
Well, believe me, you can see it on this.
That's awesome. Yep. Good deal.
It's more than a shot as well.
So I'm thinking that if you have the set, i.e. you have the shot glass and the mug, we can make Boilermakers in Jim's
nice.
Doesn't that just become a brand new drinking game if you've got them both anyway?
I don't see a problem with that.
Does
anybody see a problem with that?
All right, I'm going to pour a shot of booze in my shot glass. You pour a complete tumbler in the coffee mug, and it's asymmetrical drinking game. Let's see who passes up first.
Yeah, right.
All right, so I got to figure out how to do this. Ralph, how do I do this?
Do what?
How do I save it? How do I share a picture?
Share a picture, or is it from YouTube? Or
no, it's from me.
You can, if you go to the chat part, you just drag it straight into the, the box where you would normally type words.
Okay.
You can just drag it just straight into there, and then, so where it says type a message, just drag and drop the image into there.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
And then you can, yeah.
Okay.
I found a copy of that Broadsides and Bone Parties on eBay.
Uh-oh. How much?
$183, and it's missing some bits as well. Yeah.
That's
hard pass.
It's from 1983. Oh, sorry, 84. I didn't think it was that old. Yeah.
All right, Jim, I just shared it to you, bud. Tell me what you think of that.
Let me log on my other device and see if I can see it.
Okay. 183. Oh, yeah, it's on Steam too?
Yeah, there's a VTT version for Virtual Tabletop.
Okay.
And they've linked the PDF of the rules.
Okay.
As well, which is interesting.
Well, I'm not going to pay $183 for a game I know nothing about and don't even know if it's a good game or if it totally sucks. So,
I wouldn't get that for that.
Yeah, that one I might do a hard pass on, but I don't know. We'll see. All right. So right now for our poll, we are looking at Ninjas, Pirates, and Gunslinger Paradise. And then also I'm going to start putting this stuff on Facebook daily. We need suggestions for what Gaz needs to paint on his live stream. Gaz, is there a night or day that works better for you for your stream for painting?
Not at the moment. So they've got us basically working a week of days, week of nights at the minute.
Okay.
And that's for the foreseeable future to help distance guys at work. So we've got the crew split in half, and then in the hangar we've got spaced aircraft bays. So teams go into that bay, they clean on the way in and they clean on the way out. There's a one-way system around the hangar. So I imagine until everything's relaxed a lot, we will continue to do a week of days, a week of nights. So I'm going to only be able to do every other week.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, does anybody see a problem with that?
I could do a Saturday. I just don't know if you want the content gap to be all the way from Sunday to Saturday.
Well, here's the thing. If you do Saturdays, I will pick up like Thursday nights or Tuesday nights or whatever weeknight, for some projects. I mean, there's enough of us that we can fill some regular, if you're comfortable doing Saturdays, I'm fine. If you're comfortable doing every other week, I think that's more than appropriate, whatever you feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's plenty.
Yeah. I don't want people feeling obligated they have to do this and it becomes a chore and it's not fun anymore. That takes all the fun out of it, literally. Yeah. So,
I did
to be honest, sometimes it will be work. I mean, we just have to.
Oh, no, we all know it's work.
Now, I think what we sort of promise our community is 2 pieces of content a week.
Yeah.
That can be tough when there's one person. It's tough when there's 2 people because now there's no flexibility.
Yeah.
But as soon as we have 3 streams of content, me, Gaz, and Gianna/Marty, as long as we have 3, then I think there's plenty of flexibility where we can always make sure that there's 2 pieces of content at least sometime during the week, post podcasts.
Agreed.
To be honest, if they weren't live, that would be easier for you.
Well, here's the thing. You don't have to do it live. You can record it, and then we can just broadcast it on a day. It does not have to be live.
Yeah, because that gives me total flexibility.
Yeah.
And I could just pick whichever time space during the week works best for me to record, and then we put it out.
Because I have no problem doing a live stream. And if Jim is live streaming a game, everything does not have to be live. Recorded content is perfectly okay. I mean, the podcast is recorded, for God's sake. So, I'm fine with that. Does anybody see a problem with him?
I don't see any problem. I've thought of something else.
Certainly aren't going to be live. I can promise you that.
That's a lot of work.
That's hella recorded.
Yeah, I've had an idea for something else as well. Another sort of idea, possibly for some content, which would be, did anybody see those free set of rules that were put out about it was, I can't remember who it was put on OTT for jousting and knights. It was like print off a collection of like paper models, and you had some very simple jousting rules. Okay. So that got me thinking about, what about something similar to that, where we try to build on, the whole knights and jousting and tournaments and stuff like that, just as a something silly, because it's, it's chivalry, it's knights, it's possibly more non-historical, even though tournaments did happen, but I think people's impressions of knights from that sort of thing is things like the movie Knight's Tale and stuff like that. It was just a silly idea, of something to look at possibly. Of that, but just a thought.
Interesting.
I'll see if I can find the PDF, because it was only 2 or 3 pages. That included the figures you print off.
Oh, yeah, printable paper figures?
Paper figures as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to be. I think, if we look at it, maybe something down the road, we look at it, you can easily get, even if you buy the kids' toys and do something with paints on those,
Yeah.
You know,
say I bet we can convert those to miniatures without being too much of a challenge. We can certainly find stuff like that if we wanted to.
Oh yeah, I mean,
pursue it.
Any of the Crusade stuff would probably suit. You know, any of the stuff from the Crusade, like the Knights Templar and stuff like that, probably within the sort of the view of it. You know, with a little bit of, you know, grab some bits from like a 40k or whatever, you know, with the 5 plumes and stuff, and, you know, stick them on the mini for the plumage and the helmets and stuff like that. It's not rocket science, really, is it?
Right?
Yeah.
Just a thought.
No, that sounds interesting. Excellent.
If we're still adding things to the poll,
yes.
The whole idea of computer gaming, that recent, I mean, as cheesy as it was, that recent Panzer General stream that we did last week actually got quite a few hits. We had a pretty good audience for it, and the replay, at least on YouTube, has gotten quite a few views.
Nice.
We have people asking for Crete. You know, because obviously there's a series of games. There's Allied General, or actually the first one's Panzer General, Allied General, Kaiser General for World War I, KUK, which is Austro-Hungarian Empire and World War I, Fantasy General, Star General for outer space, and then they have People's General, where you're the People's Republic of China and you're fighting like a near future war in Asia somewhere. So there's a lot of variations on that. If anyone was interested in that, we might take a look at that kind of thing.
Well, could you do Gallipoli with that, Jim?
I don't know if they have Gallipoli, and I haven't looked at the Kaiser General version, but I can take a look at it and see if I have it.
Yeah, that'd be cool, because I've always wanted to know more about Gallipoli. Seems to have slipped by a lot of people.
Another historian gamer, our friend Dylan, supporting of the channel, has recently done a really good episode on Gallipoli over on his Anzac Week.
Oh, cool.
He's got a lot of information on that one.
Yeah, sort of aside from video gaming is Electronic Arts. Well, it wasn't Electronic Arts. Have re-released Command and Conquer.
Yes, they have. I mean,
There's
granted,
a
it's not
remastered
true
edition.
historical, but if you're a retro gamer,
If you know,
yeah.
Oh yeah. And the other thing on Steam that's on offer for anybody that is sort of looking at, and I don't know when this is going to end, so I do apologize, is Steel Division 2 is on Steam sale at the moment. It's like $13.99 for one of their, it's like a modernish RTS with tanks and all sorts.
Nice. So do you guys think that we should do a show related to wargaming via computer? I mean, I'm more than happy to do that because I have a really good setup to do it. I have no problem tackling that project if you guys think there's interest in it.
I think there would be. I think, you know, you look at it now and you look what gaming or military gaming in general, what's sort of out there. So, you know, there's Steel Division 2, which is an RTS, and that's World War II. You know, it's Tigers, Panthers, it's German. It looks like it's Eastern Front in 1944.
Yeah.
You know, you've got also the ones, I'll see what's in my wish list because I've got a bunch of stuff in my wish list. There's the Red, is it the Wargamer set? So it's like Red, and one sec, I'll bring up the proper title. Yeah, the Wargame Red Dragon.
I have that. Yep.
Yeah, but there's all of those that go with that, isn't there?
Yep.
There's a company do a co-op stroke, almost tactical strategy game called Door Kickers. Now what's interesting with the way that works is you plan out before the mission. So it's a bit like how the original, remember the original Rainbow Six game where you had to plot, where you could plot where your men entered the room, where they threw the flashbang and stuff like that, yeah? And then you could just sit and watch it. It's like that.
Oh, okay.
But the first edition, or the what's called Door Kickers, that's currently on Steam, is the SWAT teams, and you have multiple missions. There is a version coming later on this year called Door Kickers. I'll just bring it because it's in the bottom of my list. Door Kickers 2, Task Force North, and that's taking the Door Kickers premise and put it into the Middle East, into, you know, Afghanistan, and Iraq. You know, so there's that. What else is there sitting on there? I know there's a strategy game called Afghanistan 11. which is to do with you are in charge of the coalition forces in Afghanistan during 2011, I think it is. So, you know, there's a lot of gaming, you know, war gaming out there. That's doable.
Yeah.
And a vast majority of the stuff seems to be relatively inexpensive.
Okay.
You know, so I mean, the other thing as well, which might be an interesting one, where we were talking about the bomb, you know, about the what ifs. I know on Oculus, which you have,
yep,
there's it basically puts you on one of the atolls in the South China, in the South Pacific, when they dropped one of the test bombs, you know, when they were testing in the 50s. And you're actually standing on the island when the bomb goes off. And it shows you what, you know, it gives you the effect of the bomb going off and the cloud coming to you. And then it cuts to an aerial view to show you where you are and the blast radius and stuff like that. Okay. So from an, shall we say, from an education point of view or from an interest point of view, that might be something to...
Yeah, we could do that.
To look at.
Yeah.
It was just something we were looking at when we were looking at VR for teaching, of different ways of using virtual reality to tell stories and look at stories. I know there's a one that we looked at which was really interesting for history. It's called Diggers, and it puts you in the shoes and you control the character of a digger during World War One. So it's one of the Australian diggers, the guys that dug the tunnels. And it puts you into the trenches in World War One. And that's free to download through Oculus.
Interesting.
So you know, there's lots of different things, because I know you did the was it the Blitz?
Yeah. Yep.
It's that type of thing, but you actually control the character, so you're walking around the trenches, and
nice.
you can go and look through a periscope and look at the other side and stuff. So you know, there is scope, shall we say?
Nice. Okay. So Sundays, Jim, you're usually doing wargaming via. It's not really computer. It's computer, but not computer. Does that make any sense? No,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's digital.
It's digital. Thank you. That's probably the best way to put it. I could do Thursday night video gaming. You know, and Gaz. So what do we decide, Gaz? Are you going to do every other week, or are you just going to record and we'll post it for flexibility?
I think if I record at least once a week and we set the days out, it's probably easy, because then we can use any day.
Yeah.
So however you want to space it, I'll do it in the days other than that.
Okay.
So it's ready for that day, then it's consistent.
Would you like, say, like Tuesday nights to be your night?
Yeah, that's cool.
Broadcast? Okay.
Yeah.
And that give you enough time to do whatever you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a weekend that way. I've got the rest of the week.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday is where I can probably fit in a 2-hour, 3-hour painting session.
Okay.
So that's perfect, because Sunday I can send it to whoever, get it ready, and then have somebody just proof it on Monday. Tuesday it can be posted up.
Excellent. So Tuesday nights is going to be Painting with Gaz, or what do we call it? The View and Brew. So
View.
Yep. So that'll be Tuesday nights. There you go. So we've got some painting content for Tuesday nights.
But not this week.
Yeah, not this week. What? Not this week?
just get that caveat in straight away.
Get to work.
Get cracking, Gaz.
Yeah, come on, guys. You let the site down.
Excellent. And then, so we'll say the Tuesday following the airing of the show. How about that? Because that would be the next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Okay.
I can always stockpile as well then, so if I'm away for any period of time, like visiting friends in America, I don't have to do content.
I thought they were going to be live shows.
Yeah, there you go.
So, all right. So that's Tuesday nights. And then Jim typically has Sundays when he's not in, off grid.
Oriskany Sundays are just like the usual. Yeah. Nothing really changes there.
Yeah, I think
sequestered to a black site.
I think Sunday is owned by the Oriskany. That's cool.
And Thursdays could be just. I don't think, just from an idea, would be not to pigeonhole what Thursdays is. You know, because one day you might want to do something on, say, video gaming. The other day you might want to do some painting. You might want to do something else.
Yeah.
You know, so it could be a generic show or generic content.
Oh, that's a great title for it. The generic Thursday night show.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I love it. Yeah, because it can be just anything.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the Phalanx website. Those are the people that make the U-boat game. They have a new game coming out called Fire in the Sky, The Great Pacific War.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah. Fire in the Sky is a two-player game of strategic rivalry and tactical responsiveness set during the Pacific War, which stretched between Pearl Harbor, Takia 41 to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So, actually, it was before 1941. Let's be truthful. This is just the American involvement. Yeah, and I still have. Is it Cruel Seas Pacific that I ordered? I don't even remember. The one the Warlord's putting out with the bigger
I think
capital
that was
ships.
War at Sea.
War at Sea.
That one had heavy cruisers and battleships.
Yeah, that's the capital ships. So we got that coming up. So yeah, all right. So Tuesday nights. So everybody listening, Tuesday nights is Brew and View. Those will be recorded, so there will not be live conversations. Thursday night will be some live something. And then Sundays is Gaming with Jim, and then if there's other filler in between, there'll be filler in between, but that'll be the expected schedule. So
the game you're thinking of, G, is called Victory at Sea.
Victory at Sea, thank you.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So I got that coming too. Because I have a lot of board games I still have to play. I still have, Victoria Cross 2, Custer's Last Stand. I got a lot of stuff here we got to play. So, cool.
Well, let's get to it.
I know, right? now we have no excuse. So we have no excuse. And then there will probably be some recordings of Marty and I putting the terrain together for 13 hours.
Yep.
And like I said, we're going to do some demo plays using the Adepticon demo board of different rule systems. So now that things have eased off a little bit restriction wise, I think we can start working on that. So guys, great start to the show for season 5. Believe it or not, season 5. Wow. So I think we're going to call it at that, so everybody can enjoy their Sunday. Oh, Ralph, you got something else?
There is news.
Okay,
there
go
was
for it.
A little news, and it is a little bit of retro news of sorts.
Okay, go for it.
Free Liga, as we all know, the company behind the RPG Tales of the Loop and the Alien, announced a new game that they've got the license for.
Oh?
Twilight 2000.
Holy cow. So they're going to make an RPG out of Twilight 2000? Or
again, it's a brand new iteration of the original GDW. Twilight 2000 is coming to Kickstarter in August.
Now, was that originally an RPG?
Yep.
So I'm not really familiar with Twilight 2000, so...
it was created by Games Design Workshop, the first edition and the second edition. They also had a semi-sequel to it as well called Traveller 2300, which was taking the world of Twilight 2000 and pushing it into 2300.
Gotcha.
There was a third edition of Twilight 2000 as well. That's done by a different company, but by the looks of it, Free Liga are using their Forbidden Realms. I think it's Forbidden Realms or Forbidden Fables. They're sort of the RPG style mechanic that they use because it's the way they're setting Twilight up is, yes, you can be the military. So the original concept was you were troops in whichever military it was, trying to find your way home.
Okay.
I think Jim will be able to correct me on this because it's been a while since I've sort of looked through the Twilight stuff. And it was set in Poland during that period of time. So I think, if I remember correctly, was it a stalemate, wasn't it, Jim? The war.
Well, okay, the Twilight 2000 originally came out in the mid 80s when the year 2000 was like the dark, dim, distant future. Mm-hmm. It postulated a third world war starting between between the Soviets and the Chinese in 1995. Again, that was the distant future in those days, and wiped out like 2/3 of the world's population by the time everything was done, to the point where it's basically a cross hybrid genre thing between like what we would call like modern military RPG, like an HK Ops thing, combined with post-apocalyptic. It was, the world was
the what if.
It wasn't like literally everyone's dead, but like society itself is falling apart. You were with 5th Infantry Division near, I think it was Kalisz, Poland, in southern Poland, in Galicia somewhere. And, the war literally everything just finally fell apart. The civilization itself has certain tipping points, and we had passed all the tipping points. And the beginning of the game is you get a message from your divisional commander says, "Good luck, you're on your own."
Yeah.
And then once there, it's an RPG. You can do whatever you want. The general idea is to make it back to Krakow so that you can pick up a transport and get back home to the States. But there really aren't any states anymore. So you could either try to set up like your own little bandit base, or who knows.
Your own little fiefdoms, or take out marauders, because there was marauders when we played as well.
Marauders,
I mean, when we played as well, as it wasn't just NATO military. When we did it, you could also be Russian, so you could have NATO military and Russian military almost joining together to get to Krakow, because in the game Krakow is called a free city. There's a collection of scenarios based around Krakow as well, and one of them's to do with the Black Madonna and stuff like that. They did a couple of supplements additionally. They did what was called like an IDF supplement, which was for the Middle East, which was predominantly do with the military of the Middle East and the weapons at the time. So things like you could bring the Galil, because in the original rule book when it was set, you didn't have things like the Galil and stuff, where in the IDF book they put the Galil in and they put the M82 because it had just appeared in service and stuff like that, or being used. So but the way it worked as well was ammunition was very rare for certain weapons. So if it's like a standard NATO weapon or a standard Warsaw Pact weapon, you could easily get the weapon, but it was things like the M8250 Carl, or they had the G11, which was that caseless
4.7 millimeter caseless ammo.
Yeah, that's trying
great
to get
weapon,
a hold of one
but good luck finding more ammo for it.
Yeah,
that's why you started making mortars, because you could manufacture your own mortar ammunition. It's all you do is finding a functioning garage and you have your unlimited ammo.
So they announced that, and then there's been a bunch of interviews around it as well, people asking questions and stuff. But that was one of the sort of the big things was this popped up sort of out of nowhere, that Free League have picked it up and went, well, we're going to reproduce it and bring out a brand new version of it.
Well, they're going to have to completely redo the timeline, because
they're going, by the looks of it, they're not. They're keeping it within that Twilight 2000 time period.
So it's no longer like future RPG, it's like alternate history RPG.
Yeah, by the looks of it, yeah. From what I've read, I haven't seen anything definitive that they are going to set it within, a more modern take within the current time period.
Yeah, you'd literally have to rename the game to be like Twilight 2050 or something.
But they're structuring the rules as well, so you don't just have to be military. So you could play it in mainland US during this time period, and being, survivors or people trying to eke out a colony or whatever, trying to survive in the collapse of society.
I think you could do that in the old system, and you had to wait for those other supplements to come out. Like the original base set, you were with 5th Infantry in Poland, but almost immediately they came out with... I remember they had one about airships over the Ozarks. I mean, they got crazy as far as, you could be, it was literally a global setting. You could be anywhere in the world, but, if you really wanted to.
And then when 2nd edition came out, they did an alternative book for 2nd edition, which was Mercenaries. So getting away from the Twilight 2000 sort of post-apocalyptic, thing to being, you are mercenaries operating in a world, and they brought a world book out, and they had a Bangkok source book, which was for that sort of part of the world. So, it was just interesting that Free League this just popped up, and it was like, and the community has sort of swelled, because I'm on a couple of Facebook groups, and one of the Facebook groups I was on was for Twilight 2000, and when this was announced, it just popped, and just people are, shall we say, excited about it, to say the least.
Interesting. I've heard of the game. I just never really played it, so this is all you guys. So they're going to Kickstarter then, Ralph, you said in the...
They're going to Kickstarter with it.
Awesome.
Free League, I've had some very good success, especially with Tales from the Loop and the Alien RPG. The Alien RPG is amazing. It is beautifully put together, and it just works within that whole universe. The way they've structured it just works. And to be honest, it is the game. It's sort of the way Alien works is there's two ways of playing it. You can play it as a standard sort of RPG campaign, so you have linked missions and whatever. Normally either Space Truck has the standard crew with the Nostromo and whatever. The other way you can play it is what's called cinematic mode, which is technically taking like some of the short stories that are produced, or taking the like Hadley's Hope and things like that, and seeing how you would operate within that environment. So there is a couple of missions. One of the scenarios I think is called the Last Stand at Hadley's Hope.
Nice.
And you're a colonist at Hadley's Hope before aliens.
Nice.
So you know what's going to happen, that you're going to probably die, or are you going to be a newt and survive? But the way the game is structured and the mechanics, it is basically you see a xenomorph, you are attacked by the xenomorph, there is a good chance that you will die within that combat. Normally within the first round if the xenomorph hits you. Because they are what they are. And it's just well put together, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I do recommend anybody just have a look at it.
Nice.
Just the quality of it and stuff is just astounding. So if they put as much effort into that, into like Twilight 2000 that they've put into that, they'll have another winner on their hands.
Excellent. So, all right. We'll look forward to that. So, last bit of news. If you guys haven't followed what I posted on Facebook a week or so ago, SitRep Podcast now has its own dedicated server. For all you computer geeks out there, because this really doesn't mean a lot to me, I just know it's a lot of storage. We have gotten our hands on a HP DL380 G8 server. What does that mean? It's a big server. It has two 8-core processors at 2.2 gigs, 128 gigs of RAM, 12 drives for a total of 44 terabytes of storage. So, So
it's quite a bit of storage.
That is a beast.
So it's got plenty of horsepower.
Yeah. So, we're going to get that baby set up because we have dedicated fiber optic line here at the studio. So that will be where we're going to host our Arma server on there. Probably we'll host our DCS World server on there. Which, by the way, they came out with Super Carrier. Freaking amazing. When you actually get to see the flight crew hook you up to the catapult and stuff, it's amazing. So I've been goofing around with it a little bit. So we'll get that all up in there, and then, we'll do some probably file sharing on there, like if you want to post pictures and stuff. I don't know. I got to get our friend Chris over here to help get it set up so it's running right, but we'll get it going. But yeah, Marty and Chris carried it in last weekend, and it's huge. So
notice he said Marty and Chris because it's a two-man lift.
Oh yeah, it will be.
The server weighs like 85 pounds.
I'm just waiting for G to spend all the money on DCS to get everything. I nearly died when I saw the price.
You know what? I'm not, because there's some aircraft I'm really not interested in.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the Super Hornet to come out. That looks really good. I did buy the Huey.
That's a Hornet, sorry.
And I love the Huey. I got to get my dad over here and have him jump in because he's a Huey pilot.
You're gonna give that poor guy flashbacks.
I know, but I want to see how he does. I mean, from the startup and everything, it'll be, obviously I got to get him used to using an Oculus because it's not like you can just, it's not that easy. So, but yeah, I definitely want to get him over here and have him hop into the Huey and fly it. But yeah, DCS World just blows my mind. I would like to see. I'm going to look to some other war games that are, server hostable. Hostable, is that a word?
Yeah.
and and see if we can get like some tournament games going on. Maybe like we could do like, I don't know, some Napoleonics or Civil War or something, where you guys can pick your own army, like the Austrians and whatever, and we can have little battles, based on the server, and see who comes out the winner at the end and stuff like that. So yeah, but we're gonna definitely have the computing power for it. So,
well, the one to look at might be that VTT, the virtual tabletop.
Yeah. So we'll see. We will definitely see. So guys, I think we're going to wrap it up at that. We got a lot on our plate. So I'm going to make a dedication that I'm going to update and post things daily on Facebook page. Jim, did you get your super secret Facebook page going yet?
No, I got to figure out how to do that. I think it's going to be, I just have to set up a new, because it won't let you set up a new account without either a phone number, and I'm sorry, Facebook is not getting my phone number.
Yeah.
Or like a new Gmail account. If I can do it with a throwaway Gmail account, I'll figure out a way to do it.
Okay.
Long story short.
You know what? You can do it. You can use Google Voice phone number.
Right.
Just use a Google Voice phone number, and that way they'll send you a text message. It'll go through your Google Voice, and then Google Voice will forward it to you. So that way they don't have direct access to your personal information. So
sweet.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Happy supper time over in the UK. And to everybody out there, we will see you shortly. So we're starting to ramp up. So remember, Tuesday nights will be Brew and View with Gaz. Thursday nights will be the general show. And then Sundays is a Risky Sunday. So, guys, thank you very much. And we will see you soon. Everybody take care.
Easy.